Hi and welcome to my very awkward intro. My name is Susan/Bambi and this is Bambi's Rambles. How are you, friends? Are we good? That's good. And if you're not okay, that's okay too. In today's video, we are going to try our hand at filming number 3 of this video. Now, I had originally filmed this video and read out all of the statements in full. Now, what I'm going to do here is I've spoken to other creators and some of my community, and they feel as though that it might be a little too long because originally the video took me an hour and 25 minutes. Now, that's a situation where I feel bad for not reading the entire thing, but at the same time I want to put it in a nice little document for you guys, and I'm going to add some more things to that Google Doc. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to link that Google Doc down below and everyone can go find the information for themselves. The Marzi Show also put out a video today with the statements, the original statements on Twitter from some of the ex-members and mods. So I will suggest that you guys go and watch that because he reads all those out and you've got all that information there. I think it's really important for me to just preface this by saying some of the things that helloleesh community has done in the past has been questionable on behalf of their I don't want to say leader, but some things that they have done have been questionable, and I'm not naive to that at all. But I will say that in communications that I've had with these people, they've been incredibly kind, incredibly loving, to one another, not to me. They've been nice to me, but they've been loving to each other, and I really sympathize and empathize with the situation they're currently going through. Now, I want to focus on the fact that I do not hate helloleesh. I understand that some of my content has come across as aggressive, has come across as aggressive or nasty or anything like that, and I truly apologize. Sometimes I'm the type of person where I kind of have no filter, no affect, and I just tell you how it is. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I know that other creators have given me this feedback, other people have given me this feedback, but I find it very hard to tone myself down. That is just who I am as a person. So I just want you guys to know that I do see, hear, and understand where you're coming from. I send no hate to helloleesh, and I think what this comes down to is the fact that she has poor boundaries and a lot of stunted emotional maturity. And you will gather all of that from these full essay questions, whatever you want to call them, questions and answers. You will gather that from those there. And I also asked a question, so I asked 3 questions. One of them was, what is the #1 thing you want the public to know about helloleesh's conduct within her community? Question 2 was, how has being a member of the community affected you during and since leaving the community? And number 3 was, what do you think helloleesh needs to do to improve her community? I don't make my videos just to be like, we're cancelling this chick, she's out the door. I do it in a way where well, this is my goal essentially, where I want people to know that I do want to help. Not that I'm the gatekeeper or the moral whatever and all these sorts of shit. Like, I'm none of that. I just want to help. And if helloleesh can see the Google Doc and just see the last question about how she can improve her community from people who are in her community, maybe that can help her. And that's important. So anyway, I'm going to get to it. The first person that I interviewed was Audi. Audi was an ex-member, ex-mod for helloleesh. And I'm going to read their first answer question for this video. What is the #1 thing you want the public to know about helloleesh's conduct within her community? I want to start by saying I don't believe her community is full of awful people. In fact, I have loved the community since day one and I've met fantastic people there. However, I do believe that helloleesh has created an environment full of hypocrisy on her end. She has created a place where you can be her friend, but only if you serve a purpose. She has a list of invisible rules to follow, which seem to change depending on her mood. In fact, I created an in-depth rule list that was supposed to be posted, but she never but she never used it. She blurs the lines between friendship and parasocial relationships so hard that it's difficult to see where you stand, especially once you hit the mod status. Her words and actions constantly contradict her own rules, and this has had led to a toxic environment. Now, I think people don't understand what parasocial means at the same time, because, you know, I was talking to my mod yesterday and she basically said something that's very, very interesting. A parasocial relationship isn't just someone you chat on the internet with and, like, you know, it's someone thinking that, like, you're best friends with Britney Spears and she doesn't know who you are. Like, that's a real parasocial relationship. If these people are in DMs and have met her and have had interactions, you will see in the Google Doc down below, had interactions where helloleesh has sent them videos of herself crying, walls of text, not being able to express their emotions, but helloleesh is putting all of her trauma and dumping and all these things on these people, whilst having them moderate her live streams, research her videos for her long form content, and being active members and helpers in her Discord. Now, that's not a parasocial relationship. I'm sorry. It's not. It's an actual relationship. She's actually met some of these people in person, including going and helping someone remove drugs from their person so they don't you know, question or mess up their sobriety. That's not a parasocial relationship. Sorry. You know, but you will see further in there more information about that. Now, there was one statement that was given to me, and I just want to read it to you guys, just so you understand as well. As an autistic person, I educated her a lot on autism. It started when she was called out for ableism, and I gave her my perspective as an autistic person. Given that I was self-diagnosed 5 years before getting my official diagnosis, and I have done extensive research on the topic, I felt comfortable sharing my info with my friend. She related to the information and experiences I shared and urged her to see a psychologist if she had access. I believe self-diagnosis is valid. However, I believe it takes time and effort and research on your own, which in my opinion she has not done. I gave Leash the resources I used in the past and general talks about autism. And I shared a lot of personal experiences, and at the end of the day, I felt my information was taken and misused. I felt hurt seeing her phrases such as autistic crush and autistic meltdown, especially knowing that meltdown part came from me sharing my personal experience with her and what having a meltdown was like for me. I felt her misuse these terms to not only avoid valid criticism, but invited a lot of genuine ableist comments in her comment section that now only affected her, but has affected the entire autistic community. This is not to say whether or not she is autistic, as I am not a psychologist, but I will say she has hurt the autistic community through this process. That there is something that is also very, very, very valid. Self-diagnosis is a very, very long process. It's a very time-consuming process. It's a very wait lists and finding the right person to give you your official diagnosis. It is a very, very big process. So when people say, is she officially diagnosed with autism? I won't take that away from Alicia. I will not, because it is a very, very long process. And even though Alicia has called me trashy and uncivilized in her Discord, I will say that I have reached out to her and I have let her know that maybe she is going through trying to understand what it's like to live a life through an autistic lens, even without official diagnosis. And I offered my support, even though I apologized to her for some of my actions and some of the things I've done, but I've also offered support because I felt sympathy for her, because it is very, very difficult trying to navigate that. But I never got a response, and she has told people that she does not want to speak to me, which I completely accept. That's completely fine. Now we're going to move on to the next one. So again, what is the number one thing you want the public to know about helloleesh's conduct within her community? These are answers from Ali, who left before a lot of people left, who is friends with people who have just left the community. And this is an important one as well. As much as Alicia says she loves you and cares for you, she doesn't. In my experience, her expression of love and care are hollow, and she uses this love bombing in a way to convince people to follow her and want to help her. The only person Alicia truly cares about is herself. The rest of us are simply numbers, subscriber numbers, patron numbers, and the amount of dollars in her bank account. Now, I will say this. Do we not hear her all the time saying, oh, I've just got 20,000 subscribers. I've just got 30,000 subscribers. I've just got nearly 50,000 subscribers. That's a big number and that's a big deal, and you need to be more appreciative of that, because I have 2,211 subscribers and it is the best feeling in the world. So I think she needs to be more understanding of that. She does not care about her audience in the way that she claims. I had to learn this the hard way. I know this sounds harsh, but it needs to be said out loud and in a forum where her audience and others can hear it. Don't let yourself get caught up in the fake love and crocodile tears. Don't follow in my footsteps. Again, this speaks to her poor boundaries. Poor boundaries. She has shown time and time again she has poor boundaries. And not understanding the fact that she can't run, again, it'll be in the statement link down below, she can't run an AA group with no professional help on YouTube, okay? She cannot form relationships with children, friendships, I want to be clear. She cannot do this to other people because it shows poor boundaries. She flew a girl out to her home during the pandemic, the Cami situation. Poor boundaries. That's all it is. It's poor boundaries and not understanding that you cannot use people that pay for your content and pay for you, your community, as your dumping ground. Next one is Danny. What is the one thing you want people to know about the conduct of helloleesh within her community? The number one thing for me is that I felt as though she used minorities to extinguish her guilt for any wrongs. I found myself actively comforting her while I should have been able to talk about how I was harmed, but because she seemed so flustered, I felt like I had to do all I could to help. That's not right. An apology should be given and then used to make affected communities feel comfort because you're having a hard time. Just because you're having a hard time. And this goes down to, again, poor boundaries and understanding that you can be wrong at times. Like, you can be wrong and you can own it, but you can't go to your community and find shelter and support. Especially in Patreon and Discord. That's not how it works. And I think some of these relationships cause some of these people to go out and do hurtful things to others. So I think there's a lot of poor boundaries, a lot of toxicity, a lot of things going on here that's like shouldn't be happening, if that makes any sense. Let's move on to the next one. Now, next one is grift. So grift is non-binary. And this here is important just to make sense of the statement that they made to me. What is the number one thing you want the public to know about helloleesh's conduct within her community? First thing I want to say is don't feel bad that you got caught into this. She is incredible at what she does, and for a while had a public persona that attracted a certain type of person, and that is clear from her original community members. All of them are kind and wonderful individuals. That facade quickly crumbled when she thought she was in a safe space within the walls of her Patreon. Sorry. I believe she was trying to create an echo chamber where people would validate her feelings and only accept critique when it didn't challenge the overall message. She has a habit of leaping into your messages if you make a sub-tweet about her. For example, because this is her go-to example with me, I tweeted, "It's super dysphoria inducing to tell a non-binary person that they have big feminine energy." This is a reference to a conversation we had in DMs several days before. That morning I woke up to novels of messages before I could even say hello. I had to stop and say, "Hey, can I tell you why my feelings are hurt?" To this day she brings up this incident. I cannot have anyone say anything that might upset her. She cannot have anyone say anything that might be a little bit negative to say about her. So she can't even take that there. Like, that is something that a non-binary person is actually upset about. and you made that about yourself. Like, it's poor boundaries. It's poor boundaries and like emotionally stunted or something. And I don't say that disrespectfully, because I've been in those situations where I've been like, I've had arguments with my husband and he's racking his head like, why are you not seeing what I'm saying? I'm like, no, I don't see what you're saying. I'm completely and utterly confused. So it's completely understandable that she could be having these sort of situations with people. But at the same time, it's unfair. And I understand that some people, I'm just going to bring this up quickly. I know some people are very upset with the idea that everyone came out at the same time. I want people to be very mindful that I do have people in my DMs from the past maybe 6 to 8 weeks talking about the same thing of when they exited the community. Some people have been leaving bit by bit or being kicked out of the Discord bit by bit. And some of those people are still unable to build up the courage to come out and talk like publicly. And that's why I've said in videos that she is a bully, because I have seen information in my own DMs for a number of weeks now. I don't want to sit here and say trust me bro, and I'm not going to sit here and say that her community is completely innocent in some of the things that they have done, because I have seen people be hurt when they left the community earlier. And I understand that some people are very, very weirded out by the fact that some of these people are shopping stories and going to Tipster, Petty Page, a lot of different creators. And I understand that. Like, I get that doesn't make much sense. But I think some people are just going to the idea of who's going to cover this and who's going to talk about it. And I think there's a sense of urgency where they've been hurt. And some people have the idea of coming out and speaking publicly is a way for them to speak and move on. And some of these people that have done questionable things within the community have also come out on Twitter and apologized for coming out of character or for acting in a not so positive light to others on Twitter and other places, including some of the treatment that I've had from some of them when I made my Hello Leash video. They are now singing a very different tune. So I understand that. I get that completely. But I have seen a lot of the proof of this, and I have made a journalistic choice to keep some of my sources and some of the information that I have anonymous in my DMs, because I don't want to put any information out there that makes people uncomfortable. But I don't want to use the trust me bro term, but essentially that's where I'm coming from. All right, number 3 is Megs. Number 1, what's the number 1 thing you want the public to know about the Hello Leash conduct within her community? The approach Alicia has in her community is completely inappropriate. I feel like she uses this group of supporters as a group of friends. She also likes to use her closest supporters, her OGs, as her moral compass, and then put the blame on them whenever their advice or situations they help with don't go the way she had hoped. There is a pattern of using people to fulfill needs that she could not meet with her own Discord. It is not unknown to me that I was well liked in the community, and a lot of inside jokes that were made part of the Discord's culture. I was flattered to be loved by the community, and Alicia would lift me up for it. There are many streams where my name is in the title, and many times she talk about me in other lives. Sorry guys. Although looking back, I feel like I was treated as some kind of public liaison person, and maybe like a community liaison. She would always ask me how certain patrons were feeling or what was going on instead of asking them directly. I became involved in petty spats that had nothing to do with me because she knew I was friends with everyone. It weighed a lot on me emotionally, and she would vent to me about ex-patrons or patrons who were creating issues for her. The in-between of not being hands-on with her community. The in-between of not being hands-on in her community while still wanting to know every little bit about everything was happening at all times, and then getting hands on to solve problems she knew nothing about and was creating a very chaotic environment. I will say that a member had a bit of an argument with another member within the Discord. They went back and forth. They eventually squashed it. It was done. Several hours later, Alicia had read back on everything and decided to kick that member from the Discord and Patreon. So she comes in after the situation's solved and then just kicks someone out for having a disagreement with another person. It's very, very odd. Anyway, there were no strict rules or regulations, but certain things would randomly be enforced, and those on the infracting end of these rules suddenly felt targeted and that everyone was against them. Again, poor boundaries. Poor boundaries. Poor boundaries. So that there is the first question. And the rest of the questions will be in the description box down below. But I will talk on something very, very quickly. A lot of this here does come across as poor boundaries and poor social skills and leaning on people that should not be leaned on. And I understand that I have mods and people that I've had people do research for me, and I've had mods and things like that. Now, my video researcher that I have, I don't go and bother her with being a mod in Discords and all these other things, because I understand that that is a part of her time that I'm taking away. And it's a volunteer position. She doesn't have to do that. But the fact that she does do that for me, I'm not unaware of that. I'm not unaware of the fact that YouTube is not our real life. Whereas my mod is, when I do live streams, I make sure that they don't feel overwhelmed with the live stream, because they've got all of my personal problems in their ear and this, that, and everything else, and like all these things going on, and you feel like your life is consumed. I think that's something that Alicia might need to learn from, and, you know, and I think that, I don't know like how to word it, but I think that she has good intentions at heart. I think she found a group of like-minded individuals and kind of forgot her position within that like-minded people community. And I think when you have people being yes men to you, it's kind of easy at times for certain people and certain types of people just to be like, okay, yes, give me everything, take everything, help me with this, help me with that. I don't know why I'm holding mascara, but I am. And I think that that's, you know, I think that's something that everyone can learn from this situation, is to respect each other's boundaries and put up boundaries. I think Alicia might need some help with a bunch of things, and that's not my place to diagnose her or say that she should be cancelled. I don't think she should be cancelled. I just think that this is some growing pains for her that maybe she should have learnt before. But obviously that didn't happen, and maybe some people need to make the same mistake several times before they learn and grow from a situation. But I do urge everyone to read the full statements from them that will be in this Google Doc, and let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions. Let's have a conversation about it, because maybe this is something where larger creators can learn from this. Smaller creators that aren't yet at this level can have these rules and regulations in place. And maybe Alicia needs to learn that YouTube isn't her therapy. I don't know. I feel like an asshole for even saying that, but I just feel like it just needs to be said. But with saying all of that, I'm done talking about Hello Leash. The treatment that I've received from her, the mocking of my autism, the fact that she calls me Bambi's rabies, the fact that I was attacked for a video in such a ridiculous way was outrageous. But I sent her no hate. I'm not like that. I have made parodies of my apology. I have made several videos on her, but at this point I am done talking about Hello Leash. I am done going back and forth with this woman. I am done with all of it. I am not going to edit this video. I am just going to leave it as is because I just want it to be as raw and natural as possible. And I really hope you enjoyed it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Remember to like, subscribe, send a pigeon, keep the same energy, and remember, boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. Bye.